Hello and welcome to the Speech Recognition Podcast, Episode 1. My name is Janneke den Draak and I am your host. In this episode, I'm going to discuss 3 ways to make wearing your current over-the-head headset more comfortable. After all, if you are using speech recognition and you're using it for several hours a day, you really want your headset to be as comfortable as possible. I'm totally in favor of removing any and all friction that you might have from actually using your speech recognition software, and comfort really is an important factor. So if you have one of those regular headsets, those traditional ones with a band that goes over the head and 1 or 2 ear pads and a cable, then these tips might be really useful to you. And first of all, many headsets have ear pads that are kind of fake leather and they're kind of smooth. And in my opinion, it has really 2 disadvantages. Because first of all, they tend to really close off your ear, so they're kind of sticky on your ear. You hardly hear anything of what's going on in your surroundings, and the air does not come to your ears and it tends to get really sweaty. Now, if you're someone who actually works better when totally cut off from sounds from your environment and you kind of like being in your own auditory cocoon, then probably this tip is wasted on you because you will love those tighter fitting ear pads. However, if you're like me and you prefer to stay aware of what's going on around you and you don't like the ear pads sticking so tightly to your ears, then this tip is absolutely for you. And the tip is, replace the earpad covers by an open foam cover. Not all headsets allow for replacing those covers, but if you can't, then just purchase replacement earpad covers that are kind of big enough to fit over your current earpads, and that will also solve it. I've done this many times and it has made my life with headsets much more agreeable. So if you want to try and find some, then you can just Google the phrase foam earpads, and then I'm sure you'll find something that will fit over your current earpads. And if they turn out to be, kind of slightly too big, then get creative and use a rubber band or a safety pin or just a few stitches to make them fit. All right, so now that we've given your ears a bit more air, let's move on to the next possible issue. As you know, or as you might know, in the Netherlands I am a reseller of speech recognition software and also of headsets. And it's my opinion that many headsets have kind of a tight fit. So if you place them over your head, they pinch your head, and I really don't like that. So my second tip is about how to make your headset less pinchy. Is that a word? Anyway, you know what I mean, so that you don't have so much pressure on the sides of your head. Now, this is going to be a bit of a challenge to explain it in a podcast because it is going to require a bit of DIYing on your headset. I will put an image in the show notes that will clarify things quite a bit, and I'm now going to try and describe in words. So imagine a regular headset with 2 earpads, so it would be a stereo headset. And then it has the headband, which is kind of a turned around U-curve, or let's call it an arch. Now, if you would flatten that arch at the top, then the downward pointing sides of the arch would move outwards. So if your earpads are there, your earpads would move outwards, and then the headset would be less pinchy. All right, so perhaps you can imagine it. If not, never worry. Look it up in the show notes, but obviously you can't spend your life, flattening that arch manually with your hands while wearing your headset. That would be quite uncomfortable. So there is a simple trick to make this semi-permanent, and that is by just taping a pencil or another flat thing to the top of the arch. And I know it will make you look like you came from outer space, even more than wearing a regular headset will. But it does work, and it will make your headset less pinchy. You may need to experiment just a bit before you found the right balance between making the headset less pinchy and still it being stable on your head when you're moving your head around. But when you fixed it up so that it is more comfortable and still stable on your head, then you can perhaps wrap the entire contraption in a bit of black duct tape, which will make it seem less obvious that you have been DIYing your headset. And now it is time for the third and final tip in this episode, and that's all about the cable. If your headset has a cable, you might agree with me that it is unpleasant that the cable is pulling on the headset when you are moving your head. To me, it always seems that it slightly hinders my freedom of movement of my head, and some headset models kind of propagate the sound of the cable touching your clothing when you're moving, and you are quite aware of that, and that is unpleasant as well. A cable clip for earphones can be really useful in this situation. So if your current headset originally came with such a cable clip, then find it and implement it. But if it didn't, you might want to Google for cable clips for earphones, and then I am sure you will find a place where you can purchase one. Well, it might be hard to purchase one because they seem to come in batches, and it doesn't seem to make sense to buy 5 of them because they are so tiny that they aren't sold per single one. But yeah, on the other hand, if it makes your life with speech recognition easier, then I would still consider purchasing a couple of them. Then just attach the clip to your clothing in such a way that you have plenty of cable length left to move your head left and right without the cable pulling on your headset, and you are all set. So these were my 3 tips for making your current headset more comfortable. 1. Getting better ear pad covers. 2. Make the headset pinch less on your head. And 3. Get a clip for your headset cable. Thank you so much for listening until the very end of this episode. If you want to continue to receive inspiration and tips about speech recognition, and if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the podcast so that you will never miss an episode. See you next time, and in the meantime, I wish you happy dictating. And P.S. If you need any help with your speech recognition software, make sure to check out learnspeechrecognition.com, where I will help you make progress with your Apple Voice Control or your Dragon speech recognition.